So this week's reading and video, the video is about Malcolm X and his speech on basically the Voting Rights Act and voting rights issues in America for Black people. He's going into detail talking about the issues that are going on with the fact that Congress is tiptoeing around passing this bill for voting rights, for the Voting Rights Act bill, and not doing what they should do, and they just trying to not allow it to happen. And so then he goes into detail about how Black people need to start breathing down their necks and staying at Congress and making sure they get what they get done. It's a very good reading here. And then the idea of that comes from the bullet or the ballot is he first talks about, right before that, he's talking about if you're not registered to vote in Cleveland, Ohio, you're not registered to vote, we'll find another town for you to live in. If you're not registered where you are to vote, then you got to go. If you don't feel like you can take the steps to vote. That's jokingly, he's like, we'll move you to the next town. And he's really getting serious and trying to think about how everyone needs to be prepared to vote and all of that, which then leads to his idea of the bullet or the ballot, that he's saying basically that if the Congress doesn't give us a bullet or a ballot, then we'll bring a bullet, in a sense of by any means necessary. He always harps on it, by any means necessary, and the idea that they have to take violent precautions, or take any precautions to get what they need to get. And if they're not going to take us when we're trying to be peaceful, whatever, the ballot or the bullet, and to keep pushing forward their agenda. And it's a very good read. It's very interesting. It's very keen to see how he always people take it away from him, always first stating peaceful, and if it doesn't work, going to violence if necessary. And I had a question. The question I had was, why do we think Black people kind of ignore this message and importance of voting now that we have the right to vote? It seems as if Black people think voting isn't important anymore, and they don't do it, even though there's so many videos and speeches harping on the importance during the Civil Rights Movement. And then the other reading was on this Duty of Civil Disobedience by Henry David Thoreau. And it's a pretty interesting reading. Very interesting, actually. I hadn't read it before, and I was wondering what I was about to get into. And he basically kind of bashes the U.S. government, the kind of government and its ideas. Says government is best, which governs the least, and government is best, which governs not at all. And then he talks about how government shows how successful men can be imposed on, how they can be imposed on and impose on themselves even. And basically saying that government is not working. It doesn't work. The government right now, or at that time, wasn't working. There was slavery. There were issues in Mexico. He harps on the idea of slavery and the Mexican government as well, and kind of talks about how the government is not working. People are being used. They're not working for the people. People aren't doing what they need to do to help government, fix government. And he talks about how for government is an expedient by which men would succeed in letting one another alone. So basically, no one's helping each other. They're all working against each other in a sense. And he thinks that they need to, basically, he says men, which is kind of an issue. He only talks about men, but at this time makes sense. But he says men need to explain what they want in a good government, what they want, what they respect, and what they'll respect for government to work. And basically saying, and he quotes here saying, let every man make known what kind of government would command his respect. And he's basically saying what can gain the respect so people will actually want to do government will work, and all those things and the issues of government right now. And he talks about how it's your right and what you need to do to fix government and fix the issues going on, and the duty of civil disobedience in a sense. And I guess the question I got from this reading, very interesting reading I liked, was is there another alternative to government? Because I know every system has a government. I know we kind of hate the idea of, or this idea to hate that government only way to function. But is there any other way to have a government or a system that doesn't involve government? And yes.